Vinod believes that coal is cleaner than solar. Explain, please.
First, to just connect it to the biofuels discussion. If you run an electric car today, next 15 years, 30 years, you're running a coal-powered car. There is, in the U.S., the majority of coal is expected to be, even with the fastest growth you can imagine in renewables, the largest source of electricity, even more so in Europe, India, and China. So if you run an electric car, be real, it's a coal-powered car. And we'll come back about how to clean up coal power. So we looked at the coal plant question and looked at CO2. Most people think CO2 is a problem. This entrepreneur came in and said, hey, what if CO2 is a feedstock? CO2 is one oxygen away from CO3, which is carbonates. All corals are calcium carbonate. And if we could turn CO2 into carbonates, you'd be replacing cement, sand, and aggregate. And so Calera is doing exactly that. It takes CO2 as in feedstock. And by the way, Sokolov talked about needing to reduce 7 billion tons of carbon dioxide on this planet. That would use 15 billion tons of building materials using the Calera process. Would be a small fraction of the use of aggregates in this country.
How far along is Calera?
Or in the world.
Tom Friedman referred to it as your baby of the moment, I think he wrote. Are they close to commercialization?
Well, they're closer to commercialization than CCS. They have a facility running, a 10-megawatt equivalent coal facility running in California. That's enough scale to then build the first commercial facility, and I suspect we'll start our first commercial facility this year. And here's the amazing thing about this process. Because you're using CO2 as a feedstock, not as a problem, the economics of this process work at a zero price of carbon, because you're turning CO2, each ton of CO2 becomes 2 tons of building material. You sell it, you make money, you solve the problem. It pays for the capital you need to invest in building the facility. Incidentally, there's a side benefit. When we capture CO2, we capture all the SOx, all the mercury, all the cadmium, all the chromium-6, and all the other heavy metals permanently encased in the building materials in the concrete. And they have passed all the EPA leaching tests for leaching of these materials. So now, I want to be cautious. Let me answer your question first. So why is this cleaner than solar? Solar or wind can at most reduce carbon emissions by 100%. Because we reduce the carbon from the coal plant or the natural gas plant and displace building materials like cement and sand and aggregate that would have to be mined for, we can get well above 100% reduction. So we can get carbon negative instead of carbon neutral like solar would be. And that's why I say it can be cleaner. Word of caution, I wouldn't say today that applies to all coal plants because we are site-specific. We need certain inputs and feedstocks. I would say we apply it to many coal plants. We are expanding our matrix of technologies where over time and with innovation that hopefully will apply to most coal plants. But that's the kind of innovation we need. I've had a long-held thesis that black swans is the way technology will evolve in surprising ways. If coal was cleaner than solar, that would really be a black swan.